All right, guys, it's time for the Next Level Guy Show, a men's interview, interest, and improvement-focused podcast featuring interviews with the greats from all industries to help you better your life. Each week, a new episode features an interview with one of the greats, covering all aspects of their story, from life hacks to tips and protocols that have allowed them to live life on the next level. We then highlight concrete action steps that you can use to improve your life. And now, your host, Ian Dawson Mackay.
And today's guest is Nick Koumalatsos. There's no better time for men to be focused, vigilant and healthy than right now. Nick is a husband, father, author, marine raider, Recon Marine, founder of the Agoge, and serial business builder with his partner, Alison Capra. Nick's goal is to inspire, educate and teach men the tools and steps to move forward in fitness, business and relationships, and challenge you to become the best version of yourself. No BS, just straightforward talk from patriots, freedom fighters and industry professionals from all walks of life is what you'll find on this podcast. And in this interview, we discuss how to utilise the Specialops mindset in your everyday life, how you can build a warrior mindset every day, how to achieve goals like a spec operative, and so much more. And now, let's get to the interview. Now, I originally found you when you were doing one of your insane immersion challenges, when you were doing the jiu-jitsu, just launching yourself in. But for people who maybe don't recognise the name, could you give a quick introduction? Because you've had such a storied past. It's amazing the stuff you've done. But how would you sell yourself to somebody in a 30-second kind of like cliche introduction?
The cliche introduction. Okay. You ready? I was a troublesome youth, 2 felonies by the time I was 13, turned my life around, joined the military. That wasn't enough for me. Went to, took selection for force reconnaissance. And then that wasn't even enough. And then went to special operations and spent my last half of my career within Marine Special Operations Command, deploying overseas, combating the war on terrorism. And then since then, last decade, I've been a serial entrepreneur, building and selling businesses, investing into other things, as well as the philanthropy side of working with our nation's veterans to make them, whole, healthy, and successful post-military service.
And you're also a very successful author, and you're running the Johnny Slicks, and you're a father. You're doing amazing stuff. But you initially came from like a single mother. You're a bit of a tearaway when you were younger. Do you think? You've written a fantastic book on change and transition. Do you think that upbringing helped you kind of become independent and realize that you can rely on yourself? And is that what a lot of people are struggling with just now, where life's become too soft?
Let's agree there. 100%. Life has definitely become soft. Or actually, what I would say is people have allowed themselves to become soft. So, but yeah, looking back at my childhood, growing up in the 80s, with a single mom, with, basically poor, then getting in trouble. We moved around every 6 months. These things, while I hated them as a kid, I feel like, and I actually did a podcast on my podcast with my mom, where we talked about that. And while I hated it as a kid, looking back at it now, being 40 years old and everything that I've done in my life, I look at it and go, wow, that really set me up for success. It made me have to do hard things. It made me have to, go through some of these trials and tribulations, to where now as an adult, I look at things and things that get hard. I'm like, well, it's not that hard. It's not that bad. It's just work, right? It's just hard work. That's what it comes down to.
Because that's what I love about your podcast. It's like you break things down, but you give like these great sound bites. You give these great tips to do. You get your wife to come in and you chat about being a better father, being a better relationship. Yeah. Then you talk about the Agoge. It's like everything, like there was so much stuff I wanted to go in. I can't go down that rabbit hole because that'll be a podcast in itself. There's that. You said yourself, I was really interested in the Special Forces mindset for everyday life. So you talked about how in the military, it was the first time you kind of been challenged and pushed yourself. I mean, you did the selection with a wrist injury, for example. Do you think that's a big part of it, that because we've never had challenges, we've never been pushed? And what did you learn from that time about what's essential, what's important in life, do you think, during your military career?
So it's, I get asked all the time by young people, how do you train the mental side of things, right? Like I want to join special operations. So how do I, and I can do the physical things, but how do I become more mentally resilient? Like there's not a course that you can take to become mentally resilient. It's not a thing. This is I made a YouTube video on how to create a warrior mindset. And a lot of people, I got a lot of negative comments because it was kind of cheap, right? How do you have a warrior mentality? Well, you got to do hard things. Well, I just want to, you can't read a book and get hard. You can't read a book or watch a movie or watch a video and become more mentally resilient. The only true way to become mentally resilient is to go do things and experience life and have failures. Like if you quit the first time you fail, well, you're not going to be very mentally resilient. That person who's mentally resilient, who is tough mentally and spiritually, is the person who's gone through trials and tribulations in their life and have weathered the storm. They had a failure and they got back up and tried again, and then they had another failure and they got back up and tried again, and they just different quit. Like you talked about finding me during the jiu-jitsu challenge, which was absolutely brutal. I don't recommend it to anyone. But the one thing with jiu-jitsu, and I was talking about this on a podcast yesterday, is with two black belts, is the difference between a white belt and a black belt is the black belt just forgot to quit. And it could be, he got his black belt in 5 years. He got his black belt in 15 years. The difference there is he just didn't quit. And let me tell you, for somebody who's at 3 years into that sport, it is brutal. Like you feel like no matter how you're progressing, you feel like you're not progressing. So to have that concept of something, right? Like here I am investing 3 years of my life into something that I still feel like I suck at.
No, I mean, that's a big thing for me. Like, I mean, I'm a blue belt in jiu-jitsu just now. And I grew up in an area where you were 2 hours away from the nearest place. So you had to fix, like, say, the plant machinery. You couldn't just go to the shop and get the part. You had to do it in real time, or you had to, there was miles away from anything. You got like a monthly shop at a time, all these kind of things. And I used to think I was really good at it, but COVID has really highlighted just how bad people are with change, transition, with pressure. It is absolutely terrifying. I mean, you wrote a fantastic book on change, transition, and you said yourself, like, it's great for vets, but now you can actually see everybody struggles with it.
So, it's a human condition. Transition and life changing and all these things are a human condition. It's interesting that you bring up the COVID portion, right? Because that's people made a choice. They made a choice to fold up, to be fearful, to stay in their house, to mask up, to allow all these things to happen in their life. Then there's other people that just decided to not. Like my life changed a little bit, but honestly, my work environment and my life and my goals didn't change much. Matter of fact, because all that was happening, I made more money and more progress in the past 2 years of my life than I had the 8 years prior.
No, it's same with me.
I made a choice to. Mm-hmm. I chose. I said, I don't give a shit about any of that. I'm going to move the needle in my life. How do I get more fit? How do I get more fit? How do I get healthier? How do I, get my blue belt? How do I do X, Y, and Z? Instead of saying I can't because of all these different reasons, well, the shutdowns and COVID and I don't have the money. And I mean, I lost businesses over that. Still, even though I lost businesses, got raided by the cops, blah, 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 everything that happened to me during that time, I still was successful. More successful in that year than I were in any other years, even with the hardship.
Because that's why I love your always forward mindset. It's like, bad shit happens to everybody, but you just get up and go. And you can just go, like, time's going to pass anyway. You may as well go in and do something amazing with it and achieve something with it. Is that where that mindset comes from? How do we build that philosophy into doing it? Because how can we make a sort of field manual for life? Because
something that I'm going to talk about in my Always Forward mentorship group is the phase line approach. Like, obviously it's a snowball effect, right? If I get somebody that comes on board, right, and they're just a wreck, they're the opposite of me, but they want to get better, and say we start with just like, hey, I'm going to get this guy to meditate. He's in his own head, anxiety, depression, all this kind of stuff. I'm going to get this guy to meditate, start meditating. If you've never meditated and then telling them you're going to meditate for 30 minutes every day for 30 days, it's a bridge too far, right? Or getting somebody who's never, like, say you've never worked out and you're like, you just show up and you're like, I'm going to work out every day for the next 30 days.
You hear that the whole time?
Yeah. What's the chances that person's going to fail?
About 100%.
right. Exactly. Right. So it's like, cool. I appreciate your enthusiasm, but why don't we work out 3 days a week? Why don't we get three 20-minute, if you're not working out, let's get 3 20-minute sessions in a week. And we can consistently do that. Well, then we can build from there. We can go to 4, or we can make them, 30-minute sessions or hour-long sessions. And then we can add in a 4th one. Next thing you know, you snowball your snowball effect. Now you are training every day. But look what your life is improving step by step. Every one of those sessions is improving a little bit more. Now you go a month and you did 3 training sessions a week, or 3 training sessions a week for a month. You're going to feel better. You're going to start noticing changes in those 4 weeks. And you're like, okay, I want more of this. There's positive reinforcement, right? And it's the same thing with anything. It's like, you have to start the plan. What is my goal? Okay. My goal is here. I'm going to create a 90-day phase line approach. Okay. To reach my goal. What does that mean? All right, Nick, let's just lose weight loss. All right. The world is fat right now. Everybody needs to lose some weight. Right. So let's look. The COVID got you. COVID, was it COVID 20, COVID 40, whatever
50, I think at the minute. Like, I never realized how big fat my face was till I seen it in Zencaster. It's like, no.
I got to fix this. So hypothetically speaking, okay, somebody comes on board. They're like, I want to do this thing. Okay, you're going to lose 30 pounds. And and this can be with any goal. I don't care if it's making money, it's building a better relationship with your kids, your wife, it's your personal growth, it's weight loss. It doesn't freaking matter. And it doesn't matter what it is. It is the process, the work is the same. I got 90 days. I want to lose 30 pounds in 90 days. That's a lot, right? It's a lot of weight. 30 pounds and actually keep it off is a lot of weight. Now, okay, well, we're going to break this down into phase lines. Well, it's 10 pounds. I need to lose 10 pounds a month. Okay. All right. So I need to focus on a month. I don't need to worry about the 90 days anymore. I need to focus on the month. I lose 10 pounds in a month. Well, how do I do that? Okay. Well, let's break it down into the week. How many pounds is that a week? That's 2.5 pounds a week. Okay. That's still a lot. It's 2.5 pounds in a week. You know what I mean? Actual fat loss. I'm talking true fat, not just water and all the other bullshit and muscle. I'm talking just fat. Okay. So now I got to lose, I got to lose 2.5 pounds this week. Well, how am I going to do that? Well, I got to figure out what I need to do in a day. So I need to lose 0.33 pounds. Is that what it comes out to? I'm pretty sure I've done this a lot, but I always like to check. 0.35. Oh, wow. I got to lose 0.35 of a pound. Now your listeners are obviously in kilos, so I'd have to do that. So, but 0.35, that's a lot more palatable than 30 pounds, right? Mm-hmm. But this is what I can do now. I can go, okay, what do I need to do today? Just today. I just got to focus. I just got to win today. That's it. My sole focus is the shit that I need to do today to lose 0.35 pounds. So what does that mean? Okay, I need to eat this thing, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. This is what I have to eat for the day. I have to walk this many steps. I have to get this training session in. All I'm worried about is today. When tomorrow comes, now I got to worry about tomorrow. And if I just take this freaking thing one single day at a time and build this routine to where all I'm focused on is my day today and what I'm doing, at the end of that 90 days, you're like, holy shit, I lost 30 freaking pounds.
No, I love that kind of mindset, that kind of taking a goal and making it smart, breaking it down into like measurable, reliable, etc. And is that the thing that you get taught, do you think, in special forces? Like,
well, that's where it came from. This concept, this phase line approach to planning is 100% came from the military, came from special operations. So if we look at, okay, we go into a country, go into an area of a country, and I go, okay, I need to get this location to this place, but we're over here. So how do we do that? I have to build phase lines approach. So maybe, so looking at it from a military standpoint, you go into an area, it's very hostile, and I want to make it safe. So the first thing that I have to do is I have to clear out the hostility, right? I have to clear out the negative influencers. So the first month, say we're there on a 4-month deployment, right? Mm-hmm. Well, the first month might be hard combat. We're planning because I'm going back. Okay, if I need to get to like a stable, secure, I don't know what do you have there, like counties, like what's an area, district, I don't however you'd want to call it,
Probably like in the Highlands it'd be villages and probably,
like
it's probably the same way.
Yeah, like you're not necessarily a town, but bigger, that might have like 3 or 4 towns in one area, whatever. So let's call it like a 100-kilometer square area, right? You got 100 kilometers of space that you want to lock down to make that whole 100 square kilometers completely safe and secure for your people that live there, right? Now, what happens outside that, it's outside your control, but your area, safe. Families are going to the market, they're doing their thing, they're going to school, they're living their life, no pressure. Right now, it's not that way, but that's our goal. Okay, so the first month, and we're going to knock this out in 4 months. The first month is, okay, we're going to clear out the negative influencers. All right, how do we find out who those individuals are? Now you start breaking it down to the daily tasks and the daily missions of going and targeting and doing violence against those individuals to either remove them, kill them, arrest them, whatever it may be. Okay, now you've done that. Now you got to move into phase 2. What's phase 2? Okay, we need to establish some security, right? So now we got to establish some security. We got to actually find out who's in the village that either that was a cop, is a cop, or we need to train people. So now we're establishing an internal hierarchy of their own people to maintain security and support in that area. So you see what I'm saying? So you're utilizing these things to, now you're in a training phase, then you're in a secure phase, and then you're basically last phase is, your hold phase, getting these people to hold what you actually created. All right. So I've taken that. That's what I did in the military, but it took me a while to realize, like, wait a minute. Shit, man, this is the same process that I can do with anything. And people are so hung up that they have this goal, they have this vision board, they write it on the wall. I want to be fit. I want to look good naked. I want to make $1 million, but they have no daily fucking plan to actually get there. It's just a wish without a plan.
It's what I see the whole time. It's like,
everybody
that's fine. It's like, but it's fine. But what happens if such and such happens? And you're like, well, that's why I love, like, I interviewed Dean Stott, who's on the SAS program.
Great dude. Great. Dean's a great guy. Yeah. And,
I've interviewed like a few people who've been in the military services, like Jay Morton and people like that. And I love that mindset of like, they're not the epitome. They're the perfect example of somebody who, when shit starts flying, and the hostage isn't in the place you want it, or something, the bad guys come around the corner, you kind of go,
when Murphy kicks in.
You can't stick to the same plan, and you've got to think on the fly. And, Dean was talking about hot debriefs after, about like how to improve it, what could go wrong, what went better, etc. He was talking about like weapons dumps, safe houses. Like you could see the planning that goes into it. What do you learn from like the special forces or mindset? What do they teach you about prepping, planning to get to a point where you already know what possibly could go wrong? So you're so prepared. It's just a kind of, okay, plan B, switch to plan C.
Yeah. So that's where you build contingencies and that's this is where experience comes into play, right? Obviously, a new guy coming in, say you get one of your listeners who's just, I mean, as fucked up as a football bat, right? It's just, you know what I mean? They don't know anything, right? But they want to learn. Obviously, that guy on a team, he doesn't even know what questions to ask to build the contingencies, right? So this is where experience comes into play, to where, yes, you think out everything that could go wrong. You plan accordingly to where you do build in contingencies and plan Bs and plan Cs, because no plan survives first contact. And this is where you have to pivot. This is where you have to figure it out. I mean, the other option is what? You just quit? And then what? You're never going to reach your goal.
And especially in your hostile situation.
Yeah, exactly. And especially in that, I mean, what's great about in the civilian world with reaching your goals and making money and losing weight, no one's going to die for most of the time. You're just going to fail. The only thing that's going to die is your ego, your pride.
And does this sort of link into your Mayday trigger that you've talked about, where people kind of are doing great until, they have a late night, they have an argument with the missus, the kid plays up or something, they can't get their work in. How do you start working with people and going, hey, that's BS, get on with it, switch your mindset back?
Listen, I'm empathetic. I get it. You know what? I love the things that says no bad days, right? I love to say no bad days. At the end of the day, I like to say no bad days, because it's a mindset of like, listen, no bad days, no matter what happens, because this is what's going to happen. No matter what happens that day, which we all know, your tire's going to blow, the missus, something happens with the missus, the kid lost his lunch or gets in fight in school. Like, you're going to get derailed. So what? You got derailed. No big deal. It's your life. What do you do the next day? The same shit. It's the same day. The next day you just start over. That's it. You don't have to overthink it. You don't have to like be more complicated, make it more complicated it is. You don't have to dwell on the day before. It's like shooting a gun. When you shoot a gun, you shoot a rifle, okay? As soon as you squeeze that trigger, there is nothing you can do about it. That round is going down range. You can't move it. You can't bring it back. You can't adjust it. It is gone. You have zero control of what happens after that round leaves the chamber, leaves the barrel. So let it go. It's gone. Adjust your rifle for the next shot. If it didn't hit, if you weren't on target, then you adjust. And you take another shot.
That's a great way of looking at it. I never kind of thought about it like that. Because I love how, when I was like looking through your stuff, you've got the pillars of like the physical fitness, you've got the pillars of like building your tribe and stuff like that. And, and I was like, this guy's awesome. And then I remember your tattoos about the Agoge training. And I thought, he's into Sparta. This is all I need to get to this. Where did that come from? Like, have you been sort of inspired by that? Is it when you were a kid? Where does that philosophy?
I'm obviously, by my name, I'm Greek, right? And my half of my family is from the Lycandamian Peninsula. The other ones were from Samos, an island in further east of Greece, closer to Turkey. But that kind of warrior mentality, that kind of training and mindset has always been a part of me. And I think it's something that gets adapted into the military. It's like, when you're in special operations, what do? You're not a cook. You're not a thing. What you do is you are a war fighter. That is your job. So to kind of take that and to always be the warrior. And now for me to take a step back and be like, I choose to be the warrior in the garden. You've seen heard the whole Sun Tzu thing. I'd rather be a warrior in the garden than a gardener at war. And why is that? Is because me personally, I want to be in the garden. That's where I want to be. But if the time comes or the need to be there, I would much rather be the warrior in the garden than the gardener that's getting thrusted into a bad situation and into a war. Because he is ill prepared. I can learn how to plant shit. I can learn how to be a hippie. I can learn how to be at peace. I can learn how to meditate. I can learn how to do all these other things. But it takes a long time to be a warrior. It takes a lot of time and experience and to learn how to be a warrior, to have a warrior mindset. That's a lot of work. That is an enormous amount of work, and it's an enormous amount of true pain and failure to get to that point. But that means my mindset is right no matter what. No matter what. When drought comes, I'm still a warrior. When famine comes, I'm still a warrior. I will endure when the gardener at war is not going to endure. He's fucked.
This is why I knew I had to get you on. It's just like listening to your podcast. I'm like, it is life changing, and it's great to see that you're using the skills that you learned, but you're not just, oh, I'm a great guy because of it. You've decided that your mission is going to go and help veterans, and then you're like, but everybody could benefit from this. Be a better husband, be a better father, be a better man. And I love that kind of, you've got a similar kind of goal with me, and you're doing a lot better. But how do you utilize the Spartan philosophy of, you're a warrior, remove this being slaves to our emotions? Because everybody thinks they can win a fight till they're punched in the face. Everybody thinks they can get the girl until they actually have to walk up to her.
Yeah, well, you're a BJJ guy. So like, how many times have you come in? Have you heard that like, oh yeah, well, no one's tapping me out because when I go in there and I see red, I'm a maniac.
It's always the trial guy that comes in. Yep.
Yeah. No one's gonna get me to tap. It's like, okay, like first 30 seconds, you're already done.
The 150-pound girl rolling them around, and you're like, yeah.
Which happened to me. But yeah, I mean, I think that comes down to, again, it's a choice. You have to make a choice, and believe it or not, there are military guys, there are amazing guys that are special operations guys that get out and are not successful, that don't take the lessons that they learned because they get into their own head and they're doing whatever, and they just don't, they don't put the constant effort. They forget, that's what it is. They forget that selection is ongoing. So just because you went into special operations and you passed selection, you got on a team, you went to war, you went to combat, or you just because you slash selection, you got on a team, doesn't mean that the selection process stops. You're constantly being selected. You're constantly being judged. Everything is ongoing. And I think sometimes when our warriors get out of the military and they come back home, they think, oh, I made it. I'm here. There is no point of destination. There is no finish line. There is no, like, you build your body to a certain level. You're never going to look at, no one's ever going to look at their body. Same with jiu-jitsu. They're no one going to look at their body and be like, yep, I did it. This is where I want to be. There's always something to improve. There's always a percentage of fat to lose. There's always a percentage of muscle to put on, a percentage of muscle to lift, and a strength to lift. There's always a little bit more money to make. But jiu-jitsu, like, I don't care if you're a black belt. You're gonna go roll with somebody who's gonna beat your ass. There's infinite levels to the game. And if you make the decision that you're done where you're at, well, that's where you're stop. If you quit at something, that is your limit in life. You're done. There's no more growth, no more experience you're going to gain. You quit on yourself, and that's as far as you're going to get in life.
Because you see that a lot recently with a lot of young people. It's kind of like, yeah, I go to work, I go home, and I'll sit and watch the soaps. And you're like, well, what else do you do? Oh, 9. And I just think it's like they've given up. And that's why
and that's their choice, right? That goes back to
Mm.
choices. If that's the life I have no problem. If you want to work a part-time job at 40 hours a week and go sit on the couch and be fat and watch your soaps, then that's cool. Do that. I don't care. Don't change. Don't yell at me about anything. Don't affect how I do things. Don't have an opinion on what I do. That's you. What I have a problem with is the individuals that do that, but then complain they're not fit enough. They don't make enough money. They're not reaching their goals. You're not doing their dreams. I wish I did this. I wish I had that.
Yeah.
But they're doing jack and shit about it.
And do you think that's like because we've never been to war, a lot of people, they've never had to challenge themselves. So things like jiu-jitsu, combat sports, giving back, these sorts of things. Like, would you say, because you've got like this sort of great setup of the different pillars of creating a better version of themselves, do you have like set physical benchmarks you think people should do? Do you have set ways of building a tribe, building the pressure in their lives? How do you start working with somebody to get them to be the better version of themselves? Are there habits that you would introduce into their lives to help them on the road?
Yeah. So one of the things that we do with the Agoge is, so we sit down with a client and we talk, the fact that they reach out to us to talk to us and then to sign up and put their money where their mouth is says a lot, right? And we're not cheap. And the reason why we're not cheap is because I want the people who are truly invested in making changes. I don't want, we have a thing here called, I don't even know if it's international, Planet Fitness.
Oh yeah.
You heard of it?
Mm-hmm. Is that the one you get free pizza with a workout?
Yeah, there you go. You get free pizza to work out. It's like $15 a month. There's no value in that. So if you look at someone, if you take, and I was actually having this conversation with one of my coaching clients today. If you take two people, one's a Planet Fitness person, $25 a month or $15 a month. The other one goes to a gym that costs $299 a month. Two different people. One person's paying $25. One person's paying $299 or $15.25. I don't even know what it costs. I know it's cheap. I think it might be $10 a month. It's something ridiculous. Who's going to be the more in shape person?
The one with the less crap, shall we say? Not the Planet Fitness guy.
Not the Planet Fitness guy. Why?
I think it's because it's too easy. It doesn't challenge you.
No value, right? Mm-hmm. If you're paying $299 a month to go to this gym, do you think you're going to use it?
No, you're going to justify any excuse not to.
No, the $299 one to go.
Oh, sorry, yeah. You're going to go to that one, yeah.
Yeah, of course, right? You're like, shit, I'm spending $300 a month. I got to get my use out of this. So what it comes down to is, what do you value? What do you value? And if you're going to reach your goals, so if I get a guy, he comes on board, pays the price, then I sit down with him. We sit down with him. We go, okay, listen, call him Mike. Hey, Mike, what are your goals? Okay, these are your goals. Now tell me your top 4 priorities in life. Okay, tell me these priorities. Let's talk about your routine. What do you do in your day? Well, wait a minute. Your routine, the things that you do in your daily life, from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, does not align with your priorities, your goals. So are they your priorities, your goals, or is your priorities and goals messed up, or is your routine messed up? Now, most of the time, their routine's messed up because they don't know how to build it to get there. You know what I mean?
So when you were in the service, what would they be doing? I mean, away from actual combat situations, is there do they focus on your mindset training? Do they focus? I know they would focus hard on the physical careers, but what are they doing? Is it planning, prepping? Is it maintenance? Why do they instill these kind of like habits in you that makes you like the best of the best?
So it's interesting you say that, and you would think that there's like this robust training thing for the mentality portion, right? To get yourself mentally ready. There's not. Yes, every once in a while somebody will come and speak and share some information or something like that. Do you know what we do? we train. We train to the point of exhaustion, and then we train some more. And then we push ourselves and we train some more and we do hard things. And when we're not deployed, we're training. We're either training physically or we're training mentally. We're running war games. We're running exercises. We're in training. We're learning new things. We're testing everything that we do in special operations. There's a test at the end. You're constantly testing. You're constantly having to pass something. You're constantly getting put into situations where you have to succeed or fail. That's what people don't understand is like, you can't listen to a speech. You can't listen to a podcast. You can't read a book or watch a movie, watch a video on YouTube to become mentally resilient. The reason why these guys are so tough is because they've been put in tough situations and had to either sink or swim.
So what other sort of similarities do you see between top performers? Because I see, like, with the people I interview, I see some like very similar characteristics, some very similar mindsets, the way that they take on things. For the guys you've worked with and, the people that you really see excel, do you see similarities in their mindset, their approach to life that you could sort of categorize, or does it just it's what the person does with their life more than who they are as a person?
Well, I think a couple different things, right? Like, you're looking at special operations guys, you look at selection processes, right? For anyone in the world. Like, you look at the SAS, you look at like guys, the SBS, like the guys like Dean. Dean's a great story. Matter of fact, what a just amazing story. But if you look at all of those individuals and their selection processes, for the people that you see, I'll tell you this right now, there's about 90% of them that you don't see. That cream rises to the top because you've got individuals that are willing to deal with the misery. You have individuals that are willing to deal with failure and continue on. Vice the individual who does not continue, that does not deal with failure. They quit on themselves when things get hard and they go away. They fade off. Those people are gone. And those are the same people that in life, if they don't take corrective action in their life, will always hit a roadblock. They'll always have that limiting belief factor. I can only make so much money. I can only have this type of girl. I can only have this type of job. Like, their belief is here, and they'll never exceed the limit. Have you ever heard me talk about the elephant and the rope and the stick?
Yeah, it's like when they plant it, they put it into the thicker rope, so the baby elephant thinks it can't pull out. So when it comes to the full size elephant, it can't pull the rope. So I think, well, what's the point of me trying? I can't do it.
I can't do it, right? My whole life I've been tied to this rope, and here I am. Here you got the largest walking mammal on the face of the planet tricked into believing that it is where it's stuck where it's at, when you and I both know it could trample the whole village. Yeah. But it's been trained, it's been conditioned. Well, I look at us as a world, us as a society. Majority of people have been trained and conditioned to be put in little boxes, to be put in certain economic structures. Right? You were born poor, you're going to die poor. You were born, your family's overweight, you're all fat. You're like, well, you're just big boned. Well, that's funny because I've never seen a big bone skeleton yet. So I'm pretty sure when we all die and rot away, we all look the exact same. So that's a lie. I can only make so much money. I can only have this much education. I can only do these things. These are all lies that you've been told or you're telling yourself. But if you can get somebody to truly believe that there is no limit, there's no ceiling, there's no point of destination, there's no finish line. It's just about constant growth. It's constantly about moving the needle in your life in whatever way you can. That's a powerful person.
It's time for a quick break. There are millions of potential products to buy, so how do you know which ones are worth your hard-earned money? Simple. You go to nextlevelguy.com/affiliates and explore those that will transform and improve your life. You'll find deals, listener exclusives, and special offers with some great companies. Recommendations are 100% honest and only on items Ian has tried or believes in. The companies showcased will make you a better man in all areas of your life. Simply go to nextlevelguy.com/affiliates and level up.
Because you see that, don't you? It's like everybody goes, "Oh, I'm just gonna when I get good at jiu-jitsu, or when I get into shape," and you're thinking, that's never a goal. That's never going to happen.
It's not a tangible thing.
And I just don't get that kind of reasoning. It's like that's part of the fun. It's the journey. It's not as Aerosmith, great song. It's not it's the journey, not the destination.
You have to enjoy the journey, because that's all there is. There is no destination. There is no getting there.
I just never understand that way when people kind of have these goals where it's like very kind of, it's like you're saying, they're built into blocks. They're never going to actually go and step out of it. And do you think that's where true growth comes from? It's when you realize that you have one life, that no one's coming to save you, that what you actually need is on the cusp of your comfort zone, that you need to step out of it.
Absolutely. It's on the fringe, right? If you have a circle, growth happens on the edge. And that's the reason why that I'm constantly doing different challenges. Every year I do something, because I feel, because like where I'm at in life, professionally, personally, it's very easy for me to get just kind of complacent. I've got a great team. I've got great employees. I've got a great wife. I've got a great family. My businesses are doing great. It would be very easy for me to just kind of sit back, kick back, and put my feet up. But then basically I'm dead. I've died. Mm-hmm. And what people think is like, oh, you can relax. No, it's not relax. It's death, because now you're not moving forward. You're not. I want to continually to move forward in my life. Like there is no limit. So for me, doing these different challenges, doing different hard things, doing things that are really outside my comfort zone. So like, for instance, I haven't even told anyone publicly this. I'm when December 10th, I will enter into my very first men's physique competition at the Holiday Classic. Like the whole bodybuilding scene type thing, but it's a men's physique. To be 100% honest, I don't really like that scene. I don't really, but posing on stage in board shorts, believe it or not, as much as my shirt's off in all these different videos and doing different things, I don't really like the whole posing thing. I don't really like spray tans and all that kind of funky, weird stuff, that you have to do. It is super outside my comfort zone. But what I see is one, I'm 40 years old. To be able to look like that at 40 and over, I think is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
To have to put my body and mind through this dieting regime and training regime to be able to get to that level to stand on stage and compete, and not just compete, but win. That's a challenge. For me.
It's like competing in jiu-jitsu. It's like, and do you think that, that's what I was very interested was you do regular challenges. There's a guy called, I think it's Laurie Shaw, who's got a YouTube channel, and that's all he does. Every 30 days, he'll go pick something, like it's Muay Thai, acting, parkour, or whatever. Like he's just I need to go do something. Do you think we need that? Like, whereas you guys are going on missions and you're constantly challenging yourselves, we need to have like competing. We need to be, I think volunteering.
Yeah, I think the difference in human beings that do that is night and day. It makes other people uncomfortable. There is no growth without that. So the people that are constantly doing that, imagine if you just could learn one thing. If you were like, you know what? I don't know everything. I want to learn one new thing a day. So in a year, you've learned 365 things. And if you kept that up, I just want to learn one new skill, one new trade, one new piece of information a day. What does that look like? But it goes back to a choice, right? That's a very different type of individual. Now, there will always be the individuals that don't do that. So how much easier is it for the few that say, I want to grow. I want to be better. I'm going to make the choice to be better. How easy it is to stand out amongst everyone else and to rise, the cream rise to the top. It's easier now than ever.
But how do you know you're on the right track then? Because I've noticed that with a lot of people is they come out of, say, like the services, they come out of a job or whatever, and 6 months down the line, they're suddenly going, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm in a crappy job. I'm in a crappy relationship. Whatever. How do you monitor this change? Because you've written The Excommunicated Warrior, so you've written about change and transition and things like that.
Yeah.
Where do you see guys going wrong with not so much just their goal setting, but also how they monitor it, how they achieve it? Because I look after PhD students, and their planning's great, but they can be 6 months down the line and go, "Oh, that's experiment's completely wrong. I need to restart it." And so it seems that
you just answered your own question.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's like, they get out and they're like, well, I want to follow my passion, but I don't know what my passion is. So how do you find your passion?
That I don't think I would know myself.
Do you think sitting in your house is going to find you your passion? Just sitting on the couch watching the telly? Not going to happen. You have to go down the journey. Yeah. Guess what? 6 months. I did not get here. I'm not on the same path that I started 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I was on a completely different path. But if I did not walk that path, it would not led me to this. If I would have quit down that path at some point, if I would have thrown in the towel, rung the bell, raised my hands, throw my hands up, I would not be here either. So the way to start, the way to find the thing, like you're talking about your PhD students, like in 6 months, they go, well, shit, I got to rethink this whole thing. They're not starting over. They're not starting over at all.
They've just found a way that doesn't work.
They just found they're 6 months in. Yeah. They have 6 months of experience. They're 6 months ahead of the other guy. So yes, they're pivoting to a different direction. They hit a fork in the road and they decided to go right. But they're still 6 months ahead of the guy behind them because they're walking down the yellow brick road. So like the whole thought of like, oh, I failed. No. Like you're not starting over. You're not starting from scratch. You're 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years in.
It's like when you get in jiu-jitsu. As soon as you get a new belt, you're like, I'm shite. And you're thinking, you've just been promoted. You've just been told you're better than you were the last 2 years. And the people go, oh, I'm just crap. And you're like, how does that mindset, how do you break that mindset? And it's like,
it's the journey. The whole thing is the journey. And the more people that I know that are super successful, and Ian, I know some successful people. Guess what? They're all fucking figuring it out, man. The difference between somebody that doesn't have it and someone who does is the person who does is walking the journey and they're just figuring it out. They have a lot more experience and they're just figuring it out as they go.
I've certainly noticed like a lot of the top performers are more likely to like speak out and say, I don't know it all. I need help. And when you've worked in a brotherhood where you have to watch each other's backs, bullets are flying, you're working with some amazing training partners. You've got like your Johnny Slicks team, seem friends more than employees. You've got all these amazing people in your life, same beautiful family. You've got this amazing set of friendships. What have you learned in business, special forces about building your own tribe? Because it's one of your kind of philosophies, but how do we utilize that to...
Well, I'll back up one. So one of the biggest things that I've done to catapult me forward faster, create a snowball effect for my career and my success, right? That has been hiring coaches. Why not? If I wish I would have done, that's the one regret. That is the one regret that I have, is not hiring a coach earlier on to utilize someone else's experience for me.
Yeah.
So instead of me, and now don't get me wrong, I made it pretty far on my own. We built a 7-figure business.
But say you're not
through,
struggling.
yeah, through experience. But it's like, man, what if I could have done that in 3/4 of the time? So like what a coach does is it takes out a lot of the, now you're still going to fail and you're still going to have missteps. But what a coach does is they're going to limit those. Instead of 15, there might be 3. You're going to get 3 years of results in 1 year versus you doing it on your own, taking 3 years to figure, trial and error. Mm-hmm. Like I want to hack the system. You know what I'm saying? I want to hack the system and get further along faster. So what did I do? Okay, I hired a business mentor. Check, got it. I hired my own. Even though I own a fitness and nutrition coaching company, I went out and hired my own coach. Someone that's going to hold me accountable. Someone I can learn from their experience to where I can take what I learned from that experience and put it into my people.
Yeah, that's what I've definitely noticed with it. Like I've interviewed like Jay Cutler, like yourself, Diamond Dallas Page, and that's what everybody was saying is like they always look to where's the expert, where's somebody that can help me with this. I don't know it all. I'm going to get my tech guy in. I'm going to get this in. It's
like even with jiu-jitsu is like, okay, I need help with takedowns. All right, who's my wrestler? Who's my D1 wrestler here? I want to work with that guy. Why? Because he can shoot better. He can shoot better than everybody else.
And you'll notice they're the first people that says, "Oh, brilliant, cool, right? Let's do this, this, and this."
Exactly.
They remove the ego. It's the guys that are willing to help are always the highest at ones because they know what it's like and they like imparting their knowledge. And that's what I keep saying to people is ask for help. Don't let your masculinity be tied up in, oh, I don't know, but I'm not asking. I don't want to look stupid. I say stupid shit all the time.
Hell with that. Look stupid and ask questions.
That's going to be
look stupid and ask questions because you're going to get so much ahead so faster than anyone else. That people's ego and pride is so much in the way of their success. It blows my mind.
And do you think that changes when you become a father? Do you think, like, when you get married, does it kind of having somebody that's you're responsible for, like the accountability partner, or did it change you?
I think that is for men in the U.S. I can't speak internationally. I imagine it's the same. Here in the U.S., that actually is the majority of men's kryptonite. And I'm not saying that having a family and being a father is bad. That's not what I'm saying. What I actually, it's the opposite. It's the best thing in the world. Yeah. It truly is. I truly believe that it's the number one priority, and it's the reason why I work so hard, and it's the reason why I want to build things so much is because, money is not the root of happiness. Money is the root of solving problems, and the more problems I can solve, the better life that I can have, the better people I can influence. Right. But what happens with men in the U.S. is you get a partner, you get your significant other, you get your kids, and you start putting your goals and your growth on the back burner because you are providing for your family.
Yeah.
I can't go to the gym and train. I can't have this second side hustle because my wife's been at home with the kids. Now I need to go relieve her. I need to go spend time with her. I need to go spend time with my kids. I can't take an extra hour after work to go take care of myself and then come home and then deal with all that because there's only so many hours in the day, right? So they think they're being the idea is honorable, right? They think they're sacrificing their own self to invest in their family because that's what matters most. That's a very honorable way of thinking, right? I'm going to put myself on the back burner so that I can pour into my family and to my kids. Here's what happens with that, though. Now their health starts to suffer. They start putting on weight. They start overeating. They start doing all the lifestyle things starts to happen. Now their kids are 15 years old, and this guy is looking at heart disease, type 2 diabetes. How are you serving your family now? Or is your family going to have to take care of you when you have a stroke in your 50s and your kids aren't even out of the house yet. Like, how are you being the best version? How are you being a role model to your family, to your kids? You're not.
But you hear that a lot, don't you? People saying, but I can't do that. And you're like, well, everybody else had the same 24 hours. Pat Flynn, makes something like £300,000, dollars a month, like on his bad months. And that's what he was saying is, I used to get up at 3 a.m. and work before the kids got up. I still did all the father stuff, but I figured out a solution to work around what I needed to do. And it's like what you're saying. It's like, time's going to pass anyway, but it's not selfish to look after yourself. Like, I think that's what you said. It's something like self-care is the best care. You have to look after your number one.
Because what happens then is now I have the physical attributes to go play with my kids. I have the energy to play with my kids. I can get out on the ground. I can move. I don't want to be the big, fat, overweight guy on the side of the soccer field, yelling at my kid to do something on the football field that I can't even do.
Or worse, if you see these parents who hate on their kids because they're doing something that they wish they had done, their regrets. And that's the thing. It's like in 30 years, it's just going to pass regardless.
It's going to pass. I want to be the kid so I have two older kids, and then I have my brand new one, and then we're working on another one. So when my young son, when he's 15, I'll be 55. 55 years old. I want him to look at me at 55 and go, when I'm 55, I want to be like my dad. I want to have that physical. When I'm 55 years old, I want to have that fit. And we've all met somebody like that, right? I'm sure everyone can think of some older guy or older woman that's like, damn, I hope I can be like that when I get that age. You know what I mean?
We've got crofters up here that are like 80 odd and throwing sheep on their shoulders and walking with it. It's just like 9 to them when you're like, and with people who can barely go up a flight of stairs.
Right, exactly. So when I want my kids to look at me and I want to go, when I talk about playing football or when I talk about doing jiu-jitsu or lifting weights, I want him to look at me and go, that's my role model. He set the standard. But we miss it. We think that we're providing for our families. But the best way to provide for our families is set the standard, to be the role model, to be a professor, a teacher, a provider, a protector. That's how we're leading our families. That's how we're teaching them. By being overweight and lazy, we're not doing them any justice. We have to be the very best version of ourselves for them. And if we're not, then we're setting a bad example. And guess what will happen then? If you're the dad that's overweight, that's dealing with heart disease and type 2 diabetes and all these different acid reflux, guess what's going to happen to your kids? And we see it, right? We look at a family and we see somebody who's doesn't have it together, and we look at their kids and their kids don't have it together. I wonder why that is. That's the example that you're setting for them. They're going to turn into you. But if you look at a family that's super in shape, that eats healthy, that does sports, that does all these different things, what are their kids? Their kids are just mirrors of them.
Yeah,
so you have to ask yourself, what do you want for your children? Whatever you want for your children, you better damn be sure that you are the epitome of that. You are the clear picture of that. You are a living example of that. Because they're not going to hear what you say. They're going to see what you do.
It's like you see those babies following their mom doing their yoga. They don't know what they're doing, but they're imitating what they're doing.
My son is not even 2 years old. He's been going to the gym. He's been going to the gym with us since he was a week old. My wife got back into the gym after a week of giving a baby.
That's incredible.
I mean, she wasn't doing like crazy stuff, but she was doing what she could do, right? She wasn't squatting 1,000 pounds. She wasn't doing all these different things. She was just doing the little things that she could do, being consistent and just the whole process of just, hey, it's a weekend. We're going back to the gym.
Yeah.
If I have to sit on a bench and do curls and presses, that's what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? I don't have to do a million things. I just need to be able to do something. So anyways, he's been there since he's literally been in there with, blaring rock music or rap music or whatever it is that we're playing since he's a week old. Now he walks around, he gets the little like 1 pound dumbbells and he's like shrugging and doing curls and doing stuff and squats. And I've never taught him any of that stuff. He just sees what we do and he mirrors it. Now, if we keep this up for the rest of his, childhood, what do you think is going to happen? If this is his life, it's not Netflix and iPads and computers and video games and all this stuff. If it's just jiu-jitsu and park and swimming and the gym, that's all he's going to know.
No, it makes a hell of a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Actually, I can remember there was a Simpsons episode years ago when Lisa was telling off the aunties for knocking on Homer because she was like, but he might be an infallible man, but he's my representation of masculinity, of manhood. And
Right.
I look at men later in my life for my relationships based on him. I look at who I'm going to be based on him. And they're like, yeah, just carry on playing with your toys. Because they're just like, pfft. But when you say it to people, they're like, that's a point. And then they maybe change how they are better with their kids and stuff like that. I can look at like my parents, they're overweight. And I was like, yeah, I do the same thing. I have like the little blowout, the lasso over the weekends. I do this, I do that. And I see my parents or my granddad did it. And I was like, that's a chain I need to break.
Yes, exactly right. And it's like, I'm going to look it up really quick. I love a mentor of mine. Yeah, here it is. Fucked up kids grow up to be fucked up adults who repeat fucked up patterns until you unfuck yourself.
That's a great quote.
Right?
I can't believe we're on for an hour. I've just literally feel like it's been 10 minutes. And that's why I love it. Like, your podcast is amazing. Like, everything you seem to be doing is amazing. But what do you want the evolution of your brand to be? I'd love to do a round 2 and really get into Johnny Slicks, the podcast,
absolutely,
the business. But what would you want people to sort of remember from this? What do you want to sort of, how can we interact with you? How can we kind of follow along on the journey that you're on?
Yeah, the podcast, obviously the podcast, the YouTube channel, my YouTube channel and the podcast channel would be the best place to like kind of keep up with things. But if I'm going to leave somebody with anything, I'm going to say that, at the end of the day, your life and your success is 100% on you. And that's it. Like, stop, full stop. Like, not, you can say, well, the market, this, the environment, this, the government, this, that's all complete bullshit. Like, I there's people around you killing life right now in the midst of everything that's going on in the world. So your success, your life, your examples, your weight loss, your fitness, your health, your money, your everything, your goals is 100% on you, period. And if I could do what my mission is, what my purpose in life is, to inspire, motivate, educate people to live their very best lives. And I do that through coaching. I do that through mentorship. I do that through my podcast. I do that through all the media that I put out. That's my goal. Even if I sell Johnny Slicks, I have these different things, I will still be doing those things. Those are the things that I will continue to do until I don't breathe anymore, in some way, shape, or form. So if it's you need to lose weight, if it's you need to do whatever, that is what I do.
Because that's why I love like my podcast, because I get to interview amazing people like you and go, how are they winning at life? Okay, what can I take and utilize in my own life? Yeah. And I think that's what we need. We need great role models, and you're killing it, and you're doing amazing things. And to take something, like you're saying that you can help veterans who are amazing people who need the help, the transition. And then you're saying, okay, but everybody's struggling with it. Okay, how do I do this? You never seem to be shy about going forward and pushing yourself. And I think that's why I'd love to highlight people like yourself, because you're showcasing what can be done. You can come out, you don't need to lose your identity because you come out of the military. You don't need to rely on that. You can go on and become a better person and keep doing what you're doing. Or you can excel in the military, or you can excel at this and that.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
So how can people keep track of you, like in social media? How do we find you on Instagram, Twitter, these sorts of things?
Yeah, my everything is my name, Nick Koumalatsos. And I've got several ways you can reach out to me. I have a text community app that I use that to people that are serious about actually, diving in some questions. I can't get everybody on social media, but I do monitor that text app. But yeah, follow me on Instagram, and then that's kind of like the hub these days, and then everything kind of funnels from that. And then the podcast is on YouTube and Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to it. It's syndicated everywhere. That's about it. I'm pretty easy to find it these days.
Well, that's it for another week, and thank you for listening. It's now time to take what you've learned and use it to develop and enhance your life with the key points mentioned. Listen, try it, embrace it, use it, and crush it. Now's your time to hit that next level in your life. If you liked this episode, then please leave a comment on the show notes or a review of the show on your podcast platform. Everything helps evolve the show. Until next week, keep seeking the next level in your life.